The diplomatic hall of the Intersystem Coalition hung in geosynchronous orbit above Geneva, a gleaming testament to humanity's latest achievement. Official membership among the 17 spacefaring civilizations of the local cluster. Kivin pressed his forehead against the observation deck's transparent aluminum, watching Earth rotate below, its blue oceans catching starlight. "Stop gawking," his supervisor hissed. "We're on in 5 minutes." Kivin straightened his maintenance uniform and followed the other custodial staff toward the service corridors. He didn't belong in the main chamber. None of the support crew did. But the ventilation system had malfunctioned, and someone needed to manually override the atmospheric controls before the Karathi delegation arrived. The Karathi. Even the name carried weight across Coalition space. They'd been voyaging between stars when humanity still painted on cave walls. Their biotechnology had seeded life on dozens of worlds. Their mathematical frameworks underpinned faster-than-light travel for half the known species. And their ambassador, the eldest called HFY, was dying. Kivin crawled through the maintenance shaft above the main chamber, tablet in hand, rerouting coolant flows and adjusting gas mixtures. Below, he could see the assembled diplomats, the crystalline Vexner shimmering with internal phosphorescence, the quadrupedal Morphine with their translation collars, the floating ethon consciousnesses housed in their containment spheres. And humans, so many humans dressed in expensive suits, radiating self-importance. The human delegation leader, Ambassador Chen, stood at the podium reviewing her notes. Beside her, looking distinctly uncomfortable in formal attire, stood Anna. Kivin knew Anna from the residential sectors. She cleaned rooms in the lower rings, the rotating habitation modules where support staff lived in quarters barely large enough to turn around. She'd arrived on the station 6 months ago, part of Earth's lottery system for off-world employment, a chance to escape poverty, if you didn't mind scrubbing toilets in zero-G. What was she doing on the main floor? The chamber doors dilated. Silence fell like a physical weight. HFY entered on a floating platform, her ancient body barely larger than a human child. The Karathi resembled nothing in Earth's evolutionary history, radially symmetric, with 7 eye stalks surrounding a central speaking orifice, skin that rippled with chromatophores displaying emotions in colors humans could barely perceive. Medical equipment surrounded her, maintaining her failing biology through sheer technological will. She was 3,000 years old. This would be her final diplomatic mission. The greeting protocols began. Each species offered their respects in carefully rehearsed formulae, translated through the Coalition's quantum-entangled interpretation network. The Karathi language itself was famously untranslatable, not the sounds, but the meaning. It operated on philosophical frameworks so alien that even the best AIs produced only approximations. HFY's skin flickered acknowledgement to each greeting, but something was wrong. Kivin could see it in the timing of her color changes, the slight delay in her responses. The other diplomats seemed oblivious, satisfied with their ceremonial performances. Ambassador Chen stepped forward. "Honored eldest, on behalf of humanity, we welcome you to our..." HFY's chromatophores flashed sudden crimson. Her platform dipped. The medical equipment around her screamed alarms. Chaos erupted. Medical teams rushed forward. Diplomats scattered. The translation network filled with panicked voices in 17 languages. Chen grabbed Anna's arm. "You're sure about this?" Anna nodded, her face pale but determined. "This is insane," Chen muttered, but she raised her voice. "Clear the floor, everyone back." Kivin watched from above as Anna approached the eldest alone, her cheap uniform stark against the formal attire of everyone else. HFY's eye stalks tracked her movement. The medical readings stabilized slightly. Then Anna opened her mouth and produced sounds Kivin had never heard from a human throat. It wasn't speech, not exactly. It was rhythm and pitch and timbre woven together in patterns that seemed to bypass language entirely and speak directly to meaning. Anna's body moved with the sounds, hands tracing shapes in the air, her posture shifting in ways that communicated concepts words couldn't capture. Kara's chromatophores exploded with color. The other diplomats stared in shock. The translation network remained silent. It had nothing to translate. Whatever Anna was doing existed outside its parameters. The exchange continued for 7 minutes. Anna would produce her strange utterances, and Kara would respond with color patterns and subtle movements of her eye stalks. They weren't using the coalition's formal protocols. They were actually communicating. Finally, Anna bowed, a specific angle held for a precise duration, and stepped back. Kara's platform rotated toward Ambassador Chen. When the translation network picked up her next words, her tone had changed from merely formal to something approaching warmth. "The human Anna has understood," the translated voice intoned. "She has seen the shape of the question I have carried across stars. Let her speak for me." Every eye stalk, optical sensor, and consciousness node in the chamber focused on Anna. She swallowed hard. "The eldest asks. She asks why humanity seeks to join the coalition." Chen frowned. "We've submitted extensive documentation." "No," Anna interrupted, then flinched at her own boldness. "Not politically, she means. Why do we reach outward? What are we running from? What do we hope to become?" Silence. The assembled diplomats shifted uncomfortably. These weren't the questions on anyone's prepared statements. Anna continued, her voice gaining strength. "She says every species carries a wound. The Vexner fled a dying star. The Morthine sought forgiveness for a war that consumed their homeworld. The Ethon abandoned physical form to escape the tyranny of biological needs. Each joined the coalition seeking to heal something broken within themselves." She turned to Chen. "She wants to know humanity's wound. What pain drives us into the darkness between stars?" The question hung in the recycled air. Kivin found himself holding his breath. Chen stared at Anna for a long moment. Then slowly her diplomatic mask cracked. "We're afraid," she said quietly. "We've wounded our world, poisoned our oceans. We've built weapons that could end us in an afternoon. We look at our history and see an unbroken chain of violence. We're afraid that if we stay isolated, we'll destroy ourselves. We're hopping that by reaching outward, by learning from species who have survived longer, we might learn to survive ourselves." The honesty was shocking. Kivin had never heard a human diplomat speak this way to aliens. Kara's colors rippled through a spectrum that the translation network couldn't interpret, but Anna smiled with tears in her eyes. "She says she understands," Anna whispered. "She says the Karathi once nearly destroyed themselves too. 3,000 years ago, they stood where we stand now. She says the wound never fully heals, but in reaching toward others, we learn to carry it with grace." The eldest's platform rose. Her medical alarms had gone silent. She addressed the chamber directly, and this time the translation flowed clearly. "I came to judge whether humanity was ready. I find they are not. They are still wounded, still afraid. But that is precisely why they belong. The coalition is not a gathering of the perfected. It is a refuge for the broken who choose to heal together. I recommend immediate full membership." The chamber erupted in discussion. Kivin barely heard it. He was watching Anna, who had collapsed into a chair, shaking with exhaustion. Later, in the quiet hours after the delegation departed, Kivin found Anna in the observation lounge, staring at Earth below. "How?" he asked simply. She smiled wearily. "I'm from Kerala. My grandmother raised me speaking Malayalam, but also the trade pidgin used in the fishing villages, and the gestural language the divers developed for underwater communication. I learned to think in multiple frameworks simultaneously to express concepts that don't translate directly." She paused. "When I came here, I spent my off hours in the Xenolinguistics library. It's free to access. I was curious." You learned Karathe from library files. I learned that Karathe isn't just a language, it's a philosophy of communication. It assumes everything you say carries context about why you're saying it and what you hope to accomplish. It's less about words and more about shared understanding of purpose. She shrugged. Turns out being poor teaches you about that too. When you've got nothing, you learn to really understand what people mean beneath what they say. Kivin looked at her with new eyes. They're going to want you in the diplomatic corps now. Maybe, Anna turned from the window, but I think I'll stay in maintenance. Someone's got to keep the air flowing while everyone else makes speeches. She walked away, leaving Kivin alone with his thoughts and the slowly turning earth below. In the decades that followed, as humanity took its place among the stars, the story of Anna and the eldest became legend, a reminder that understanding doesn't require wealth or status. It requires only the willingness to truly listen and the courage to speak truth to power. The wound, S.H. Kara had said, never fully heals, but in reaching toward each other we learn to carry it with grace.